Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful Let's Talk. Yes, I can claim that it is wonderful. At the beginning of tonight's session, the reason why is because we have a wonderful presenter, Dr. Wilson. She has been tremendous in walking us through some serious and needed topics. We've all been dealing with this whole pandemic thing, and from the beginning of the pandemic, when we started our virtual ministry format platform, we invited her in, and she came in ready to walk with us and work with us. And we've been blessed by her on these times. It is a time to let's talk about it. It's a time to grow. One of the things we want you to do, if you're viewing us on Facebook, if you're viewing us on YouTube, we want you to invite others on tonight. Tonight's topic is going to be amazing. Dr. Wilson, I'm so excited about it. And yes, I will say the topic is in honor of mothers. Of course, we have Mother's Day this month, and she's going to be talking about the strong Black woman. Now, you may be saying, well, why are you excited about it? Um, uh, um, because it helps grow our community, especially for men, to be able to recognize and be able to relate to our sisters. And if you are a husband, if you are an uncle and you have a niece, you have a granddaughter, tonight will help you as a man to nurture and develop where we can continue to have some strong Black women in our families. We know the backbone of our families have been because we've had some big mamas and some aunties. We
So
want to be
true.
we want to be able to continue that. So I'm going to move out the way. I'm going to ask Dr. Wilson to just come on and bless us as you have been doing since the beginning of Let's Talk.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. And this is exciting. These are two of my favorite topics tonight, um, as mental health. And I also, as a clinician, I work with women on different women's issues. But for those who don't know me, I'm Dr. Mia Wilson. I'm a Florida licensed mental health counselor, certified addiction professional, certified traumatologist, and nationally board certified. So all of those different letters, right? Just to say, hey, fancy way of saying I'm a counselor and I like to help, and my passion is mental health. I picked this topic tonight because it is May, and May did honor mothers to this month. But I just also just talking about women in general, because mothers, as we know, is just a role that is one of the roles and important roles that we do play. But like he was talking about, we also are aunties and grandmothers and daughters and godmothers, not to forget the godmothers, right? Um, and then single mothers, and so we also incorporate, and just wives, and so the different roles that we play. And I want to just be to talk about that strong Black woman, about that extraordinary strength and why it came about, and some things that we can do, some gems that you can take back with you after this presentation, just to make sure that we take care of ourselves, so that we can be able to carry that strength out. Now, I don't know, can you, I'm going to get ready to do my presentation, so I hope that you guys can see it. Okay. So one of the things is we always are very familiar with physical wellness, making sure that we exercise, we eat right, that we're doing things for our physical, what we do for our bodies and what we put in our bodies. So we see a lot of that on television. Probably when you go see your physician, they say, "Hey, you got to lose weight." Mine does. Um, making sure that you eat right and about your diet. And we see a lot of it flood on television. You see where they flash foods, and then they also show different exercises. Weight Watchers have tons of advertising on television constantly. The other thing that we are very familiar with is our spiritual wellness, and which is also very important. And so this is the things that we are used when we are part of a church body, or things that we do for our own spiritual growth. And that, again, is something that is very important to our well-being. Sometimes when it gets to mental wellness, we kind of like, well, what does that mean? What do you do for with mental wellness? And so sometimes it's just a big question mark to say, well, I'm eating right, I'm exercising, I'm doing my walks, I'm praying, I'm going to church, engaged in different church activities. But what do you do for mental wellness? And you'll see why I'm throwing this out there, because that's all encompassing of what a strong Black woman can be. So, just a couple of definitions so that we're all on the same page during this presentation is to look at mental health, and that's a person's condition in regards to their psychological and emotional well-being. So, in other words, you ever heard the preacher say, I woke up, I just praise God that I woke up in my right mind, in my right mind. And so that's basically what that means, that I'm able to get up, I'm able to be productive. I can connect with people. I put my clothes on the right side. I'm able to go out in the world and just connect and feel good about myself. Mental balance is just a healthy psychological state of someone with good judgment. So it basically we this is what we use to help make decisions. Even if it's not a good decision, we know not to do that anymore. Now, also mental balance means not to just look at the negative things that go on in my life, but to also look at the positive things that are going on in your life as well, and being able to have that mental balance. Mental illness is the dysregulation of mood, thought, and or behavior. So this is primarily your mental disorder. So our mental disorder, just like our physical health, it can go from having a common cold all the way to having cancer and everything in between, or anything even chronic pain, anything that's more severe. Physical illness, mental illness, it's the same thing. It can be from anywhere from stress, that is causing me to not be able to function well in my life, all the way to it could be schizophrenia, bipolar, to your more severe mental illness. But basically, what it does is I can't think straight, I can't concentrate, my sleep is off, my behavior is I can't function because of the mental illness. And then we have what's called our mental health stigma. And so that's a marked disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality of person. It persists due to a lack of knowledge, portrayal of people with mental illness and fear. So this comes when there's not a lot of knowledge, but I don't want to associate myself, this is like, oh, I don't want to associate myself with somebody who's has bipolar disorder, or that somebody that's schizophrenic, because we think they're dangerous, or I just can't relate to them. Um, and so that's the stigma, where people's like, oh no. And sometimes we kind of flippantly, when we make a joke about it, be like, oh, my OCD is acting up, or they be like, girl, you bipolar. Oh, your mood is all over the place. So sometimes we will make, certain jokes about it. Which if a person is bipolar, it's not, to them, it's not, a joke, but it's kind of like, okay, I will keep that to myself. So why mental health wellness is important? It's just important as and don't get me wrong, it's just as important as our physical health and our spiritual health. But mental wellness includes that emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So it affects how we think, feel, and act. So that's real important, because that kind of encompasses who we are. It also helps us determine how we handle stress, relate to others, how to communicate with people, and being able to make those healthy choices in life. And it's important at every stage of life, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, because we know if mental wellness, if something breaks during our childhood or our adolescence and our teenhood, it can very well affect us in our adulthood. And so sometimes people will say, well, I don't know, understand what children have to be stressed out about. Well, in their world, they may be, today it's a lot of stressors out there. And to be able to stop and say, well, let me see it through their eyes, because their world how I see their world and how they see their world may be very different. Oh, so our strong black woman, she's fierce now. She's fierce and she's not to be played with. She has that S on her chest, and she able to leap buildings in a single bound. She can take care of children, parents, co-workers, good friends. She can take care of the gamut, take care of the church, what you need her to do, right? So let's talk more about that strong black woman. So one of the reason why the strong black woman came about is because we had images like this. So if anybody ever seen this movie, it was Gone with the Wind, and that's Hattie um, McDaniel. That's not her character name, but that's the actress. And so a lot of times during that time period, that's what we saw. We saw ourselves as the help. We were always in a domestic roles, you know, and that's what the on television and in the movies, that's what we were portrayed. We were also, sometimes it went the other way, and we were portrayed as the Jezebel or the prostitute. So we were either the domestic help that had no relationships with anybody other than we got up and served, or we were the prostitute or the Jezebel, and so we were just overly sexed, and that's how we were only presented in movies, books, and on television. So the strong black woman came from that to say, hey, wait a minute, we're more than just that. I'm tired of seeing myself when I look on television. That's all I'm being portrayed. And so the strong black woman started looking like this. There's Angela Davis saying, I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept. And she said, I'm not putting up with this anymore. You also have Maxine Waters, and she's like, no, I'm now hold the purse strings, and this ain't happening, and I'm not paying for it. You got Cookie. Remember Cookie on Empire, and so she's another one. She is tough. She's a businesswoman. She's smart. She'll cut you, you know. And then you had Scandal, and so all of these women now, when you look on television, you see these women. They're tough. They can conquer the world, and so that was the answer to um, for the Jezebel and the maid service or the domestic role. So the positive things about the strong black woman is that whatever the discrimination, the prejudice, or the stressors, we attend to help handle stress different from men or even white women. So we would befriend men, but we'll keep it in. So in other words, we'll get up in the morning, we'll take care of all the things that we need to do. If my friends call me, I'm the one that people call when they having problems, my siblings, my friends, and I'll be the one to say, oh yeah, I'm the one giving advice, and I'm the one taking it. I help mend you. I help you with your emotional needs, your physical needs, but I also will keep everything in, so nobody would ever know that anything is going on with that woman, with that strong black woman, because I put on a mask and I make it seem like everything is okay. Like many black women in America, they report feeling pressure to act like this, like super women. We go to the opposite. And so we're obligated to present an image of strength. We don't break down. If there's a funeral, I'm so busy taking care of everybody at the repast and making sure everybody is okay. Or have an obligation to suppress our emotions. I don't have time to grieve. I don't have time to be stressed. I don't have time to feel my emotions because I got to take care of, and to show those of emotions, that doesn't appear to be strong. And we have the resistance to being vulnerable. Hey, you okay? Oh, yeah, I'm all right. I'm worrying about you. Let me see how you're doing. I got to take care of. And top of all of that, I got to get ready for work, right? We have invented to define ourselves as being resourceful and productive. Again, I'm working, I'm taking care of children, grandchildren, parents, spouses, significant others. We're taking care of all of these people, friends, and we make sure that I will take care of all the things. If I got to make appointments for this person and that person, I will do that. We can be loyal and loving, and many of us knows how to persist and persevere. We are very creative. That saying, we'll make $1 out of 15 cents, right? And we have a vast experience of making a way out of no way. And we have this obligation to help others. But on the other hand, we're overworked and undervalued and sometimes under pressure because we don't want to acknowledge that we are stressed, and we keep our feelings and emotions bottled up inside while helping everybody, but I can't seem to find time to help myself. We're like the best caregivers. We'll take care of the world, you get out of the way, except ourselves. And some of us will put ourselves on the back burner, and that's where we end up staying. So this make the Black woman a candidate for anxiety and depression. And I will say during the pandemic, anxiety has reached a whole new level in America, in the United States. Because we're taught to push through, keep going. I mean, we can be in pain, we can be sick ourselves, but I don't want to worry anybody, and we will push through and keep it going. Because I got to take care of all these people. I don't have time to be sick. I don't have time to be tired. And we endure difficult times without protest, asking for help or even believing that we even are deserving of it. Is a sign of weakness and vulnerability that we are taught that we cannot afford. And for years, mainstream media has been perpetrating the ideology that the Black woman don't ask for help because we were the help, or we are the help. So suppressing these feelings, what has happened is has led to health problems associated with it. So that's your chronic upper respiratory, chronic fatigue, infections, hypertension, heart disease, obesity, and unhealthy self-soothing behaviors. Because we're not taking care of ourselves, so everybody else is great except for us. Because we don't stop and take that time. We're saying, "Oh wait, you know what? No, it's time for me. It's time for me to say no to other people and start doing some self-care and making that balance." Remember, we talked about mental balance. That racial battle fatigue, and that was a term that was coined in 2008 by a theorist called, his name was William Smith. And so that was regionally used to reference the experience of the African American men in America, because at the time it just seemed like they were the targets of police brutality. But it is now expanded to describe the negative and racial charge experience of all people of color in the United States. So they're realizing that women too, I mean, it's already, we are minorities, so we kind of consider the double minority. We're a minority because of gender and minority because of race. And I remember probably a couple of years ago where I had a young lady who was being racially not profiled, but she was being harassed on her job by her supervisor, who would pick at her because she had a natural, she decided to wear her hair uh, and an afro. And so her supervisor would pick on her and say, "Oh, you need to, or your hair is nappy, or when you going to go to the hair, when you going to make your appointments to the hairdresser, because your hair looks atrocious, and so to the point where she just um in tears, and she was young, she was in her 20s, and then she just started wearing wigs to work so that she wasn't being picked on by her supervisor, but just not able to be herself. So we face discriminations in employment, education, the judicial system, healthcare, and in on everyday lives. I think it was Beyonce and Serena Williams who spoke out about their experience giving birth, and how the physician misjudged that their pain level, and so even when they say, "Hey, I'm in pain," it was ignored. And so there are well documented history of the invisibility and silence of the Black woman, and that we're often overlooked and unheard. So these are signs you need, when you're experiencing these things, the need to seek help. When you keep things that bother you locked up inside, festering, you're afraid to speak out about disappointments, hurts, fears, and you're afraid to express anger, and you hold on to grudges for way too long. Things that happened in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you're holding on to grudges, and you don't want to speak out. You're holding on to things that you're not no longer even dealing with today. Or you hold on to that grudge so long, you held on to that grudge so long, you don't remember what you were angry about. Things that your hurts, because our hurt come out in anger, or you're afraid to express anger, and so you're so passive with everybody, you feel like a doormat. You can't wait to get home to eat something, anything, and lots of it, because that's the only thing that tends to soothe you. Or you have no appetite and forget to eat. You go through the whole day and be like, "Oh man, I didn't even eat anything." You just don't have the energy to do anything, and you have to force yourself to do everything. Or everything is so hard that you're sleeping a lot and you have difficulty getting out of bed. Or even just to take a shower is like a whole task in itself. You can't seem to concentrate on any one thing, and you look at the same piece of paper 5 times. Your focus, your concentration is just off, and it's starting to affect you on the job or even at home. Oh, you might be very cool to hang out with, and they love your energy and your spirit and contacts, but you feel less than, and your self-esteem plummets. And the actress Gabrielle Union talked about that. She talked about her self-esteem, and how she struggles with it. If your clubs, friends, meetup, and family gatherings have lost their previous joyfulness, it could be a sign that something's amiss. So even if you are amongst your friends or your family, and people that you used to have a great time, things that you had an interest in, it just no longer give you joy. Or sometimes you can be around them and still feel like you're disconnected, feel like you're lonely, even around other people. Your relationships are strained, and this is um, marriages, friendships, family relationships are very strained, and you start isolating. Your friends have told you that they are concerned. You stay home a little too often, and you call in sick at least once a month because you just cannot. You don't have the energy to do, or to connect with anyone. You have a wonder if you wondering if you're having a nervous breakdown. You cry a lot and without warning. And sometimes we'll, um, especially at night when everybody's asleep, and we're not as busy. Sometimes people, that's could be the worst time and the loneliest time for people. or you wake up with crippling anxiety. Sometimes people have an anxiety attack even when they're sleeping and they're terrified to get out of the bed and face the world. Or you getting bad feedback at work and or school, and that didn't used to be the case. And so those are when you start having those kind of signs and symptoms on a daily basis or weekly basis, especially when it starts rolling into a month, then those are times that when you really need to start seeking help, because anxiety and depression can get worse. So, as promised, I want to leave you with 12 ways to live mentally healthy. And so, some things that you can take with you. And so, one of the things is to make a routine and stick to it. Some of us are working from home, or even if you are now back at the office, we still want to be able to make a routine. So, as women, we thrive on the reliability of routine, structure, and predictable outcome. So, this doesn't mean that you can't be spontaneous, it just means that we want to have some type of predictability in our lives. So, setting some realistic goals for a balanced routine that consider that many to do your life, those many to dos of your life, while leaving some room for incredible important downtime. So, when we have a routine, we can also kind of build in some me time to say, okay, everyone, from I'm going to take a walk for 30 minutes and I'll be back. Or I'm going to go down to the park for an hour. Or instead of coming straight or going straight home from work, I'm just going to leave work and just take 30 minutes just to do you before you go home. Because sometimes home is a whole nother job in itself. Maintain a regular sleep schedule. I can't tell you how important sleep is, and in regards to your mental health and your physical health and your spiritual health. So sometimes it's easier said than done, but it is a key for your mental health. You don't want to be tempted by the I'll just stay up later and wake up later, since there's no commute, especially um, like during the pandemic, because our body has a rhythm. It's a circadian rhythm, and so your body, so again, that's where that routine comes in handy, where to say, well, this is my bedtime and this is the time that I get up and start maintaining a regular sleep schedule. Even on days that you don't have to get up, I wouldn't want to prolong it past on 1 hour. Make time in your schedule to wind down. And so if you have a problem sleeping, you want to, like, if you have an established bedtime, you want to take an hour before that bedtime and just to wind down, just to like take and especially if you have problems with sleeping, you want to probably get rid of all the electronics, which is the opposite, is very stimulating, and just doing some non-stimulating activities, just reading a boring book, or just listening to some really nice music or sounds, just to help you just kind of wind down. Although we love our electronics, we love our cell phones and our tablets and our television, that blue light background is very stimulating. And what happens is the brain doesn't realize that it's nighttime and it will start producing melatonin. So the brain, in other words, thinks it's still daytime and thinks that you're supposed to be up. So even if you decide to take melatonin to try to get to sleep, there's not enough melatonin in your own body to be able to give you that nice deep sleep. And again, exercise and nutrition, very important. So many are finding that more times at home. So if you're working from home, means more time to snack more and exercise less. Because even when the gyms were closed, the refrigerator was always open, and as well as the grocery stores. So making sure that you watch what you eat. Now, the Europeans knew about this years and years and years. Probably in the last 3 years, we are just now finding how important nutrition is to our mental health. So, a lot of your processed foods um, contribute to a lot of anxiety and depression. And exercise is very good for your mental health. It makes you feel better, it increases your endorphins, and so it's one of the best ways to manage your own stress level. So sometimes if you're just feeling full and you're feeling stressed out, just taking a 15-minute power walk, free, number one, it's free, a 15-minute power walk, 7.5 minutes up and back, um, and you'll be surprised how well it will help you de-stress, and also helps you focus as well. You want to be able to live every day on a fresh new start. So you don't want to be held back at what happened yesterday, the day before, the week before, the year before, or even decades ago. You want to be able to say, hey, you know what? I got a brand new day today. It's like a whole nother set button. And let me just deal with today. Whatever happens for today, that's what I'll deal with then. And sometimes we can have a bad moment in our day, but just let it be a bad moment and not let it hijack our whole day. Life is short, and it's nothing if we didn't learn anything else from this pandemic. So we want to be able to live in the present moment, because what happened in the past we can't change, and we don't have any control over what happens in the future. Be able to create your own opportunities. You can wait for opportunities, or you can go out there and create your own opportunities. You don't have to wait for people to come by and say, hey, you ever thought about, you can think about those yourself, and then you can say, well, yeah, I was thinking about that. But if you had opportunities or ideas that you have thought about, hey, you go out there and create your own. Again, you don't have to wait for other people. And the latter, being able to create your own opportunities is much more empowering. TD Jake said, your ideas is only a million, the thoughts that you have and the ideas you have, it could be a $1 million project that you're creating. And there's much more, and a lot of Black women are starting their own business or doing up different opportunities, or collaborating, that is, it's making it really empowering. Do the things that you love, because life is too precious to be doing anything else. So if you don't enjoy something, then don't do it. You want to be able to spend your time and energy on things that's going to bring you fulfillment and happiness. A lot of us, we sitting around for a permission slip from others to say, oh, go on and do that. You should go ahead and take, go get your nails done. You don't need a permission slip. You give yourself permission just to be able to be free to do the things that you love to do. And in addition to that, be sure to love yourself. You're going to be the one constant in your life. And you want to remember to always treasure and love yourself. You deserve nothing less. And be able to let your feelings out. Being able to connect, talk, laugh, cry, express your anger when you need to, express your hurt when you need to. So talking with friends, family, a counselor, a member of the clergy about your feelings is a healthy way to relieve your stress. And if you're the one that everybody goes to and they feel better afterwards, who is your go-to person? Because eventually you're going to get full and need to be able to do this. So you want to be able to let your feelings out. Holding on, suppressing all of these feelings, that doesn't do anything but make us sick and suffer in silence. Be willing to receive support, because a lot of us, We so busy being the support that we don't receive support. We have a hard time receiving it. And and even the strongest bridge will eventually start crumbling. We want to be able to declutter. You want to start from your computer, old files and stuff that you have for years. You can start clearing those out, then proceed to your work desk, your bedroom, your home. When you throw unwanted stuff away, you make room for new things and new energy to enter your life. And so, your environment, we don't just eat and consume food, we also consume our environment. And so, when we have a clean, decluttered environment, you feel better. And so, a lot of times, your environment is an reflection of what's going on within yourself. You want to be able to embrace change. Now, change is inevitable, it's going to happen. So that is the one constant thing. But change also means growth, being able to grow and being able to step outside your comfort zone. Rather than resisting change, you learn to be versatile so that you can make the best out of the changes that come. And again, you wait for it to come and then you can say, okay, let me be able to make the best of the situation, the best of this person, the best of um being able to adapt to the changes that goes in life. And sometimes it's like a commencement where it's the beginning of something new, something different. And in fact, sometimes you can be the agent of change. You don't have to wait for the change to come to you. You can be the change. And a lot of times people talk about that when they're dealing with generational curses. It's like, hey, it's been going on in my family for so long. I don't want it to continue to keep going on in my family for more generations. I want to generate that generational wealth. I want to do something different than the people before me. Practice gratitude. So this is one of the things that being grateful for everything you have today and everything that you would get in your future. So we're counting our blessings and everything that God is going to do for us in our future today and things to come, and expressing gratitude. Let people who touched you, that about your gratitude toward them, and you'll be surprised what a little act like this can do, because if you don't ever tell them, they'll never know. And they actually did a study about gratitude when people are looking at how they're when they're grateful for things that they have. It actually changes the chemical makeup in the brain and help them be able to overcome depression. You want to live in the moment. Do you often have that very busy mind? And I have a lot of women that come see me that say, "Oh, I can't. I'm constantly thinking, or I constantly got racing thoughts, and it's hard for me to just shut my mind off." So one of the things is to be able to calm your mind down and being able to be present. Sometimes we're thinking about things again that happened in the past, or I'm anticipating what's going to happen in the future. But being able to be present, and because the only time I'm ever living is in this moment. So some things that you can do is some meditation, journaling, praying, listening to music, hobbies, such as mindfulness or yoga or art, if you're great with just drawing, are just a few activities that can help you remove mental clutter. And a lot of times, if you have a lot of racing thoughts, just writing them down kind of take the energy out of it. And for the final word, the upside is as the national attention shines a spotlight on mental health, which is one thing that the pandemic did, is Black women are slowly joining the discussions and the effort to heal. And so some of the podcasts or some of the things that avenues that Black women are joining is the Hey Girl podcast. There's Therapy for Black Girls podcast, Black Girl Heal, which is another podcast. Black Mental Wellness is a podcast as well as a website. Black Girl Self Care is a podcast and website. There's Thelma Bryant Davis. She's really good. She has a Twitter account and talks a lot about Black women mental health. So, the thing is that we accept that the Black women, accept that the Black women stereotype doesn't need to stop you from showing your vulnerability. In fact, it's one of those things that we probably have to, redefine what that strong Black woman is. Because showing vulnerability is a way for us to show our strength. That we're not just this tower of strength that we have no feelings and no thoughts. We do feel emotions, and so allowing yourself to be emotionally fragile. In other words, if I'm sad, just allow me to be sad. If I'm upset, just allow me to be able to be upset. Let me feel my feelings so I can deal with it instead of always constantly putting on the back burner, and being more realistic on how you're really feeling. So we're not walking around with these different masks, and being able to, yes, help people and be there for people, but and also to balance that out by being there for yourself and actually accepting support for yourself so that you're not running on empty. Usually have this saying in therapy, you just you have this pitcher of water and you making sure that everybody gets their thirst quenched, and then you are running on empty. And so being able to say, wait a minute, let me redefine what that means to be a strong Black woman. It doesn't mean that I have to keep all hold on this stress and then I'm breaking down. It also means that I can be vulnerable and being able to have a well balanced life. And with that, I'm opening up for questions.
Wow. Wow. Tremendous information. And it's so interesting that um, you came from this perspective in terms of a strong Black woman dealing with the mental aspects of the strong Black woman. On Sunday, Bishop preached about Deborah, and he talked about the whole.
Mm,
And your presentation just really fed into that, because to be that strong Black woman, you got to have that strong mental aspect and the things that go into having that. And the way you packaged it is tremendous. We've had some good comments on Facebook Live tonight. Just awesome topic. Some of the ladies said awesome topic. Self-help. This is good information, which it is. And we just want to thank God for you and what you provide to us.
oh,
So
thank you.
thank you so very much. And listen, everyone, every fourth Tuesday at 7:30 is Let's Talk. Join us, share with other people. We're getting a service. We are truly getting a service that is so beneficial to each and every one of us. And you would be blessed to bless others by inviting them to join. It's on Facebook Live. It's on YouTube. You can go back and review this or share it out with others so they can hear this presentation. Sister, share it with your sisters. Share it with your sis. That's the language.
Collaborate.
But yeah, this is tremendous. This was tremendous. Dr. Wilson, thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
You are a blessing to the St. Paul family.
Thank you.
You are becoming one of us. You're becoming a part of our family. So we thank you. Listen, everyone, have an amazing night. Gear up for a tremendous Wednesday. On tomorrow, we will be praying at 12 noon and 6 o'clock. p.m. So join us for prayer on tomorrow. God bless you. We love you, and we'll be talking to you soon. Take care, Dr. Wilson.